Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It's Tuesday, July the 29th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local share market is set for a negative session with ASX futures down around 0.7%. Global stocks were mostly lower overnight, with European equities and the euro falling in the wake of a trade agreement between the US and the EU. On Wall Street, the S&P 500 achieved its sixth straight record closing high, while the Nasdaq also closed at another record in choppy trade. Investors are now looking at the policy announcement from the Federal Reserve later this week, as well as a raft of jobs data and the latest earnings results. Well, among the Mag 7 stocks, a mostly higher performance overnight led by Tesla. Shares of data analysis firm Palantir fell, with the US Department of Defense testing AI models from Microsoft and OpenAI as it seeks better contracts with providers such as Palantir. Nike shares climbed after JP Morgan upgraded the stock to overweight from neutral, saying investors should just buy it. Energy was the best performing S&P sector, buoyed by a jump in the oil price. And in Europe, ASML, the world's largest supplier of computer chip making equipment, gained on expectations that the sector might be exempt from tariffs. Volkswagen reported a €1.3 billion first half hit from the tariffs and cut its full year sales and profit margin forecasts. And Dutch brewer Heineken welcomed the trade deal and said it was weighing all options to deal with growing tariff challenges long term, including shifting manufacturing. It reported a more than 7% increase in organic operating profit in the first half. Well, US and Chinese economic officials have held talks in Stockholm aimed at resolving the trade war between the world's two largest economies, seeking to extend a truce by 3 months. With another 90-day extension of a tariff and export control truce likely, it would facilitate planning for a potential meeting between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping in late October. Meanwhile, in the wake of the trade deal President Trump has struck with the EU, Australia faces the prospect of 15 to 20% tariffs on exports to the United States, with the American leader saying we're going to be setting a tariff for essentially the rest of the world. That's what they're going to pay if you want to do business in the United States, I would say, in the range of 15 to 20%, probably one of those two numbers. Well, the Australian government is yet to negotiate with the United States, although last week it dropped a ban on some US beef imports, which had been a long-standing complaint from American trade negotiators. US Treasury yields have risen further as the risk sentiment suggested more optimism about the global economic outlook as more trade deals are finalised, the 10-year yield rising to 4.42% and the 2-year at 3.93%. And the US dollar index is up around 1% on the day, while the Aussie dollar has fallen back to 65.2 US cents. And Bitcoin is trading around 118,000 US dollars. Oil prices have surged after the EU-US trade deal and after President Trump threatened Russia with more sanctions if it doesn't end the war with Ukraine within the next 2 weeks. Brent crude futures up close to 2.5% at $70 a barrel. Metal prices have taken a tumble, with copper falling 3%, iron ore more than 2.5% lower at $99 a tonne. And gold has fallen to a near 3-week low on an appreciating US dollar and rising risk sentiment. Spot gold down 0.8% to $3,313 an ounce. Ahead locally on the corporate calendar, Liontown Resources, Ramelius and Resolute Mining reporting their production updates. Sandfire Resources, St Barbara and Viva Energy also releasing updates. That is your day ahead. We'll see you again tomorrow.